Bestiality references allegedly made during presentation at Renmark High School. I can't believe I'm talking about this subject again. That's twice in 1 week bestiality has come up in my country. The first time, as you probably know, was with trans man Teddy Cook and Billboard Chris being censored on X, when the E-Safety Commissioner decided to lay down the ban hammer. Now it's come up again in relation to a high school. A presentation at a high school in Renmark, the middle of nowhere, somewhere in rural South Australia, and it came up as part of a respectful relationships presentation by some LGBTQIA+ youth workers. Unbelievable. Let's have a look. So the government-funded ABC News says, bestiality references allegedly made during presentation at Renmark High School. In short, Year 9 girls at Renmark High School say they were given a presentation on respectful relationships that includes references to bestiality. The ABC understands a teacher was not present for the presentation, which was delivered by a third party facilitated by Headspace Berry. What's next? The Education Department and the school says the matter is being investigated. Yeah, I should think so. Warning for readers, this article contains graphic language. The South Australian Department of Education is investigating a presentation delivered to Year 9 girls in a regional high school that allegedly referenced bestiality as being accepted by the LGBTQIA+ community. Female students said teachers at Renmark High School told them to leave their lessons to attend a presentation in a separate classroom. Students who attended the presentation on March 22 say 2 staff from the Headspace Centre in the neighbouring town of Berry introduced a third-party presenter who facilitated an hour-long presentation based on relationships. Parents say they were not notified about the presentation, nor was it consented to. And this is going to be a running theme throughout this whole story. Like they're going to address, oh, it wasn't consented to. There should have been a teacher present. The material wasn't vetted. There's no mention of, yeah, bestiality's fucked. Who's the person that presented this and why aren't they on a list? Students say they were left unsupervised for the duration of the presentation. Student Courtney White, 14, said she felt confused and blindsided by the presentation. We had a teacher that told us grab a chair and sit down in front of the board, and then the Headspace people came in and then the teacher left. So then we're sitting in front of the board alone with no teachers, just the Headspace people, she said. The first slide of the PowerPoint on the board was you can see queerly now. No point hiding. Girls felt really uncomfortable. 14-year-old girl Amelia Wunderberg said the presenter was graphic when referencing their own sexual preferences and spoke in sexually explicit terms about growing up and being confused about whether they idolised people of the same gender or wanted to be intimate with them. Students say they were then given an explanation of the initialism LGBTQIA+, with each word and its meaning displayed on the screen. There was a slide for what the plus means, and they just started randomly saying words that no one knew, like bestiality, Amelia said. Oh, words that no one knew, like bestiality. What were some of the other words, I wonder? It was on the board when they were showing us what the plus meant. The students said bestiality was then explained in detail, and the presenter seemed to imply it was something practiced by people who identified as LGBTQIA+. They said the queer community just accepts all of it, even though isn't it illegal, Amelia said. As the talk went on, multiple girls, including Courtney, began to feel uncomfortable and asked to leave the classroom to go to the bathroom. We're all just sitting there like, what the hell? What are we doing here? Why are we learning about animals having sex with humans, she said. Bestiality was explained in detail. What does that mean? What is in detail? I mean, is when a person has sex with an animal in detail? That doesn't seem too detailed to me. Is it like how to make a donkey go hee-haw? Just gently stroke its mane, lay it down ever so tenderly and feed it your carrot. And it's not practiced by LGBTQIA+ people. Don't drag the gays and the lesbians into this. It's obviously the weird fucked up Q+. It was really disgusting. It was really uncomfortable. Amelia said many of those who asked to leave the classroom did not return. When the ABC sought comment from the presenter, a response was sent on the person's behalf, asking that reporters refrained from reaching out or naming them in its coverage. And they obliged? Really? Oh, we gotta protect the weird fucked up Q+, who's into fucking animals. Name and shame them. This is the news, for fuck's sake. Normal procedure not followed. Letters seen by the ABC that were sent to parents on behalf of Renmark High School Principal Matt Evans stated that the presentation was meant to discuss respectful relationships. The letter acknowledged that the school's normal procedure for notifying parents ahead of specific presentations was not followed. Mr. Evans said the third-party presenter had been suspended from department schools while the department undertakes an investigation. We are undertaking an internal review to ensure that processes around such notifications and procedures with regard to third parties attending at our school are always met, he said. You see, this is what I'm talking about. They sort of skirt around the issue that this is just fucked up. They're more worried about, oh, we apologise. Next time there's a bestiality lesson, we'll give you prior notice. Do you consent for your child to attend the weird fucked up bestiality lesson? The ABC contacted the Department of Education, which provided a similar statement and said the presentation was being investigated. South Australia Education Department Chief Executive Martin Westwell said the presentation was unacceptable and shouldn't have happened. Speaking with ABC Radio Adelaide on Thursday, Professor Westwell said conversations about sexual health, societal norms, stereotypes and sexuality were normal parts of the Australian curriculum, but the presentation at Renmark High School was not. The core idea that students should understand sexuality and other sexualities is, I think, really important, but the way the presenter went about it was unacceptable, he said. The school has clearly made some mistakes. There should have been a teacher in that room when that occurred, but there wasn't, and the principal has apologised for that. They hadn't reviewed the content. There was a few things that went wrong, and it ended up with this inappropriate language, and a few things being discussed in that session that were just not appropriate. Just not appropriate? How about illegal and degenerate? Support being provided to students. Headspace's National Head of Clinical Leadership, Nicola Pelfrey, said the organisation was aware of concerns raised by members of the Renmark community. We take all feedback very seriously and are reviewing how we can support and guide Headspace centres to ensure presentations they facilitate or deliver are aligned with evidence and best practice and are safe and appropriate for young people, she said. Focus One Health Board Chair Ian Gartley said the focus at Headspace Berry, operated under licence by Focus One Health, is on the mental health and well-being of young people. We are aware of concerns raised by local members of the Renmark community following a presentation delivered by a lived experience speaker that Headspace Berry facilitated at Renmark High School, he said. A lived experience speaker. What do they mean by a lived experience speaker? So this person has experience in bestiality? Is that what they're saying here? Our priority right now is ensuring that any young people and their families who may be experiencing distress receive the support they need. All parties involved in the alleged incident declined to provide the presentation to the ABC. Following the presentation, a follow-up letter seen by the ABC was sent to parents offering counselling services from the Education Department, which had arranged a social worker to attend the high school to help support affected students. Yeah, see, that's not good enough. All parties involved declined to provide a copy of the presentation. This is a public high school, paid for with public money. The public should know what's being taught to their kids. Parents expressed shock and outrage. Parents of students who attended the presentation said it was a poor representation of the queer community and had raised many concerns about the school's protocol for third-party presentations. Who vetted this material? Who made sure it was safe for 14 and 15-year-old girls? Some of them are 13, Amelia's mother Christy Fife said. It's done a huge disservice to the queer community. Following the presentation, Courtney's mother Nikki Gaylard removed her 3 children from Renmark High School. My kids are in limbo, she said. They're not in an education department at this point. I'm not putting them anywhere until I know this won't happen again. Under no circumstances should a child in that school ever feel trapped and unsafe without someone with their certificate, meaning a teacher. The ABC has spoken to 5 other parents whose children attended the presentation. They substantiated the 2 girls' claims. LGBTQIA plus educators condemn slur. Sexuality educators and LGBTQIA plus inclusion advocates Mel Brush and Eleonora Bertza Fuchs conduct consent and queer inclusion training for schools, parents and workplaces via their social enterprise Let's Talk About X. Both are secondary teachers, and Mix, that's Mix as in MX, Bertza Fuchs, said queer education was important but should be delivered in a safe and appropriate setting. The teachers are the people that these young people have a relationship with, that they are familiar with, that they are comfortable with, Mix Bertza Fuchs said. When you're in a vulnerable situation, like a respectful relationships workshop or seminar, there should be someone in the room that you are familiar with. Mix Brush said the alleged use of the word bestiality in the presentation was damaging to the queer community. It's pretty shocking to think about that term being thrown around like that, especially given how loaded it is, and for a historical context of the way that it's been used as a slur, and to discriminate against LGBT plus people, Mix Brush said. So these people are worried that it's going to hurt the queer community. You shouldn't be throwing around slurs like that. I mean, really? That's your concern here? Some weird fucked up Q plus that should be on a list comes into a school and teaches 13 and 14-year-old girls about bestiality, and you're worried about potential homophobia. Give me a fucking break. This is not about you. Anyway, this story is weird and fucked. If anything else comes of it, I'll let you know. But I've got a sneaking suspicion it's going to be brushed under the rug. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta, bye-bye.
Recession, session.